You've written about, you know, lament in regards to racial justice. What does that look like when we've confronted shame and that then turns to justice? Like what does that justice look like?
That's a great question. My work is actually specifically in the Book of Lamentations, which is a very ignored book of the Bible, but I think it says a lot about racial justice when we look at the Book of Lamentations. It says a lot about suffering and how we respond to suffering. In the Book of Lamentations, one of the most powerful situations is that the person who put the book together, possibly Jeremiah, is not the primary voice. The primary voices heard in the Book of Lamentations are the ones that have suffered the most, mainly the widows, the orphans, the lame, the sick, the blind. They suffered the most when Jerusalem fell. The able-bodied men were taken away. It was the women, the children, the widows, the orphans. They were the ones that actually endured the brunt of the suffering. And it's their voice that comes out powerfully and beautifully. So that's one of my concerns, that sometimes when we talk about issues of race, we want to speak on behalf of others, when actually maybe our goal is to let the voices speak up for themselves. Allow the voices that have been so silenced for so long to speak up in a way that we can hear. And I see this especially in women of color, where we have certainly silenced women across the board, but women of color very rarely have a voice in many of our American evangelical conversations. And for a number of different reasons, they've suffered the most historically. And so can we, as a community, elevate these voices because they're the voices that have not been heard? And if we're going to enter into a deep communal lament, it can't be just one person speaking for everybody or the person of privilege speaking for the underprivileged. Lamentations really reveals to us it's actually the most disenfranchised, the most marginalized, the most suffering. They have the most powerful voice in this story. So that's where I really challenge a lot about not just having friends cross-culturally, which is great, it's wonderful, but to really have non-white mentors in your life. I ask questions like, what books have you read? The last 10 books have you read? Who are the authors? Most people respond, not all, but most people respond. The last 10 books I read were by 10 white male authors. Well, that's showing to me that you're not hearing the other voices. You're not hearing the voices that are out there that are speaking about these issues. And you're, in fact, understanding racial conversations only through the lens of the dominant culture. So I think lament really calls us as a community to hear the most marginalized voices and that we bring them to the center of our conversation instead of saying, here's what I think, they think, but to actually ask those voices to speak out to us and speak to us.